Hey, this is your boy DJ Rome. Hey, and we right here right now has the pleasure of having, the Sultress, Tiffany here with us.
Yeah.
Uh, Tiffany Jaye. I'm sorry, Tiffany Jaye. Hey, let's go ahead and say what's up.
How are you? I'm so glad to be here.
Hey, I'm doing great. It's a pleasure meeting you. I'm very excited about this interview here today. Reading your profile and everything else, you're truly the embodiment of an artist. You're not just a performing artist, but you also have some other things that you do outside music that consist of artistry, regardless of however you want to put it.
Right.
So that's always a great thing. So how about you tell the folks, for those who don't know who you are, how about you introduce yourself to us?
Okay. So I'm Tiffany Jaye. I am a singer, songwriter, dancer, and as DJ Rome was stating before, like a visual artist as well. I went to UNC in Greensboro and have a BFA in art design. I wanted to go to Pratt Institute for a BMA, but maybe later in life. But I definitely do visual art. So I'm the type of artist that just like any other artist, I want to sing and I want my music to be out there as a universal language. I want people to listen to it, dance to it, rock to it. But I also don't want to do necessarily clothes or jewelry or perfumes. I want you guys to get like hit with my actual visual art because there's value in that. And so that's what I want to sell. That's what I want to promote as well, in addition to it. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, every artist, they have kind of a backstory as far as what kind of made them decide to get into this music game. A lot of it, just for fun. How about yourself? What made you say, hey, I think I could do this. I want to do this.
Music is a way for me to be heard. I felt like as a child, throughout my childhood, I was like an underdog, and a lot of what I wanted to say, I couldn't really figure out how to translate it just verbally to my friends or family. And so I feel like music gives you that out and the freedom to express yourself. You can put all those emotions if you can't necessarily say it to someone that you care about and that you love. You can't really articulate it. You can actually sit down and you can really connect with somebody in that regard. So that's what it does for me. And it's a great outlet to just put all those emotions into a healthy, a healthy something, a healthy environment so that you don't basically explode and, lash out on people.
Okay.
That's what it does for me.
I can definitely understand that. Now, from what I've came across, you're originally from New York,
Yes.
Brooklyn.
Yes. So I lived there as a child, very, very young. And then let's say probably around like maybe like 2 or 3, we went to Manhattan in the Harlem area. And I stayed there until I was about 8 years old. And then we came down here. And then we've been down here in the Charlotte area ever since.
Okay. So I know I get this a lot because I lived in New York from 94 to 97.
Okay.
I'm originally from the islands. I'm from Barbados. So when I moved to Indiana from New York, the consensus was, well, hey, he's a Biggie fan, blah,
Yeah.
blah. I know you didn't live there for a long time, but do you usually get that, comparison? They say, do they automatically assume that you're East Coast,
There's a lot of things that people assume now, and some things are stereotypically kind of true.
Mhm.
In New York, you don't really, talk to people in the street. You keep your eyes forward. A lot of women didn't necessarily smile. So when I came down here, they would be like, "Smile, what's wrong?" And I'm just trying to understand, like, I don't get what the point is, because that's not necessarily the culture. But definitely a lot of the music, the '90s, that's like all me. So everything that you hear musically is what you're getting. It's refreshing because it's like a nostalgia type. And that's what it reminds me of. And sometimes I try to veer away from it. I feel like work for it slightly does that, but I think in my essence and in my soul, that's something that'll never go away. So that's the part of the New York, because my family also, even though some of them have moved down here, they're still, it's kind of like when you have a Hispanic family, it doesn't matter where you go, it's like it's ingrained in you. So that will never go away. So I say all those '90s movies like Set It Off, I don't know, Baps, things that were just ingrained up there, it's in my psyche, it's in my essence.
It kind of follows you. It's kind of embedded
It
there.
does, because if I was, a lot of people say, oh, well, you've been here for such, such amount of years. And I'm like, yeah, but if I was born here, I would be a completely different person for sure. So I have to credit, New York to some of that.
Hey, definitely understand that because I'm the same way. Because with reggae music, that's gonna be always my forte. I love reggae, but I love all music. But I think when I make music, that comes out in the
It
music.
does.
So I definitely appreciate the ground roots and the the platform that I have. Um, as far as your musical influences, who would you say, or your top? Let's say your top three.
I would say Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, and Boyz II Men. Since we're talking about that New York era, that's when I first came into it. As far as with the harmonies, as far as with the perfection of like how voices are supposed to sound, with the range, all of those things. Those are the top three. And after that, then we veer off into writing and styling. So we have Neo. Luther's a part of that older generation, but you have Neo. Um, then you go into now with like your Tiana Taylors and things like that. So what's interesting is with the people that have been my influences, I kind of stuck with the foundation, and then I learned how to. With my, oh my gosh, this is the first time I'm having a loss for words. Um, with my foundation is concerned, I let them be my foundation. And then when it comes into branding and who Tiffany Jaye is as a whole or in my entirety, that's when the people that I look at in today's time, those are the people that I needed to research to figure out more. So when you see Work For It, I feel like that's the debut of who Tiffany Jaye is learning to be, because
Right.
she's only like 3 years old. Um, before that, my artist name was Tiffany Taylor, and I was emulating that off like the Dorothy Dandridges, the Nat King Coles, and things like that. So you could see we went from jazz to more of, like you say, a soul street pop R&B kind of thing. So I don't know if I answered the question, but I'm kind of at a loss for words right now.
You did. It's funny because those three influences, like you said, they're all East Coast related.
They
Um,
are.
the one that stands out to me is the Whitney
Mm-hmm.
reference. Because when I watched the Work For It video and the Say That You Want Me video, I see some comparisons as far as in the vibe, the enthusiasm, especially the I Want to Dance with Somebody video.
I figured you were going to say something like that. Exactly. Yes,
That's
I
what
agree.
in a mind of, and that's a good feeling because it's not a sense of nostalgic feeling, but it's a refreshing feeling because don't get me wrong, I love all music. All music isn't for everybody, but when I'm a 90s person, I love
Mm-hmm.
these early 2000s. That's like the era of music that I think that will never ever go away.
Nope. It's
And
timeless.
you bring me back into that mindset, and I don't want to say hope for music because again, not all genres are for everybody. But for me, it works for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I definitely appreciate what you're doing. Now I know that you said you do music, but you also have you're also an actual artist or artiste at that. How do you find time to really balance the two, or do you incorporate the two? You know,
It's very difficult. I also still work a full-time job. And so now I want to make sure, in addition to my music, that I am taking about 30 minutes to an hour each and every day to just pull out my sketchbook and just draw something. I think it's very important. Sometimes with music, because there's such a process as far as with business, you're writing, then you go to the studio, then you need to go back and do your, whatever organization, BMI, ASCAP, you got to do that, your CSAC, your BDS radio. Like there's all those business things that come into play before you can actually see like a final product. And then you got to work on your video. Now with art, for me, I can just pull out my sketchbook and I can do something within 10 minutes, and then I can, breathe a breath of like release and say it's done now. So that's what I love about it. And I need to tap into it more. I'm listening to my music at the same time as I'm doing my art. I'll put my music in when I do time lapses underneath it so I can display it online. And so that's what it does for me. That was the first love that I had because I was drawing ever since like kindergarten. So it works very well for me, and it speaks in a different level than I think music does. Everyone's not necessarily into art like that, but there's a certain wavelength I think that when you connect artistically, that people are on, it's instantaneous, you know?
It does. I definitely agree with that. I'm actually working on a couple of projects where it relates to painting and also music. I
Nice.
started seeing some things going around with like the paint and trap and R&B and trap.
Right, yeah.
So I'm actually working on putting something like that together. So we might have to work on something, where, if you're able to come through and you're actually the person actually doing a little short class, something simple for everybody can
Yeah.
something like
I
that.
could
So
do
I'm always looking for different ways and different projects that I can incorporate music into what I do. But back to your drawing, I know we're talking about the music. When I
that.
saw a couple of you actually had a video of you sketching with music behind the background that I did see.
I
Uh,
did recently.
see that my mindset also comes to fashion because the way how you sketch is kind of like the beginnings of what a person that sketch and designs would
Mhm,
typically
mhm.
do. Is that something that you
No, it's not. I think it's just an interesting style that I've had. So I'm not really sure where it's going to go because that's in the sketch, you know. When I use just a straight pen, that's what it turns out to be. When I have, graphite, it's a whole different it's a whole different feel. And then when I do oil paintings, that's another feel. So what I would like to do within the next, let's say, 6 months, I want to be able to continue to create a body of work to see what my actual style will be, and then see what other people like, how they relate to it and what they deem it worthy of, So
okay.
my sketches, they have that rough, edge to it, like you were saying. As far as for fashion, there was another one that I drew. I went on Pinterest and I just found some ladies and I just drew them, and it does give off that same feel, like you say.
Right,
It's not the intent,
right.
and I don't necessarily want to do fashion, but I'm just curious to see where it will go.
Okay.
It's interesting that you say that.
Hey, it's never know. You never know who may see you doing it,
Mhm.
and it may branch out to other things too. So, as far as I know, the last year has been rough
It
for
has.
major artists, major labels, and things of that nature. How has this pandemic has it affected you music wise, both in the good and the bad?
Let's start off with the bad so we can end on a good note. The bad, we had a lot of things. 646 Entertainment had a lot of things that were about to be in rotation. We were getting ready to go to South by Southwest, and we just had a really great momentum, and we were getting ready to do, performances after performances. So when that kind of shut things down, it was just like, okay, so what do we do? For me, it segues into the good part where it gave me time to really focus on my artistry and my social media. Social media prior to the 2000s wasn't necessarily something that everybody it just wasn't a thing, right? So you
Right.
have your publicist, you have your marketing, and what I think I love about social media is it puts it more so into the hand of the artist, and they can control what they want the masses to see. But with that, it comes an additional task of being consistent and creating basically like your own network, because people can tune in like to an IGTV or tune into your platform and say, okay, so what's so and so doing today? What are they doing? And what 2020 did was basically create a schedule for myself. I started blogging more, I started writing more, and I also started doing artwork. I started, getting in front of the camera, dancing more, singing more, and that's kind of how like Say That You Want Me came about. I just kind of put, a short little snippet together, and I was just like, well, what do I feel right now? And I was just like, I just want somebody to want me, say that you want me. And so that's how it came about. And then so I would say the positive for sure is it definitely helped me with my consistency on social media, especially with it being a new thing as far as in our day and age with the entertainment industry.
Right. I can definitely agree with that.
Mhm.
The pandemic forced a lot of artists and even DJs to find alternative methods to showcase their craft and look at their talent. Even on the business side too, also made a lot of artists look at the actual business side of
I
music.
do.
And you mentioned that earlier. TV and social media sometimes can make it look so easy. I put out a song a day and it's a million hits, but it takes more than that.
It
There's
does. It does.
involved, and there's a lot of artists that they don't want to. They when they find out that they have to do all of that, they just say, "Nope, it's not for me."
Right.
But for the ones that stay true to it, and it's something that they're really hungry for it, they will go ahead and learn the business. And That's something that, like, I let my artists know that, you have to learn the business. It's hard, and they get frustrated with me sometimes, but at the end of the day, they'll appreciate it more, because they didn't get robbed, or they know the business, then they know what questions to ask. So I always say is 80% business,
And
20%
20% music.
it is.
Right.
And that's just the honest truth about that. But hopefully, with the platform like this, with you being on this platform and myself and other DJs also from Fleet DJs, they educate the artists as they get the information. I may not know everything,
Right.
but I'll tell you what I know, and I'll point you in the right direction of somebody who knows. I don't hold information. I don't withdraw it from individuals, because we're all trying to make it. We're all trying to do the same thing, just on a different level. So
Right.
that's my job as a DJ, to spin records, to break records. I think DJs got away from that. It became
Mhm.
more commercial, and I'll just do that record because such and such label.
It's pushing it, yeah, promoting it.
Exactly. With me and my team, if you're working hard on your music and it's actually something that you feel 1,000% sure that you want to do this seriously, I have no problem pushing it. I'll play tracks when I DJ, even when I do karaoke nights, I'll throw music in there. I'll throw it
Okay.
in because it's only right that it's a different crowd, especially if it's a crowd that wouldn't normally listen to your music.
Mm-hmm.
Your vibe, if they're vibing with it and they don't listen to that type of music, that tells me something. So, that's the type of things that I like to do for artists such as like yourself, to put yourself in an environment, even though you're not with me, to where you're vulnerable, but you're not vulnerable, because
Right, right.
it helps a little bit, because you get honest feedback, most of the time, because they're just like not going to like it because they're not going to like it.
I
There's
understand.
individuals, but if they truly listen to music and love music, you would appreciate all arts of music.
Because I
Um,
do that too when I go to places and I hear something, and I'm like, what is that? I'll Shazam it, and then I'll be like, oh, so then you got a new fan. And so
exactly,
that could very well be happening on your end when you're out and you put somebody's music out there in between sets, and then somebody can Shazam it too and be like, you know what? Let me see who this person is, and then go down the rabbit hole, and then boom.
exactly, because like social media, you have 10 people in the club and they all each have a phone. 10 people, they have 20 people each on their phone. It just keeps spreading.
It
So
does.
social media can be a blessing, but then it can be a curse also.
Right.
You make it is what you make it.
It is.
I've had a hard time transforming my social media to business, because you have to think that, I used to post a lot of irrelevant things on my Facebook and Instagram, but now
Mhm.
it's strictly music business, and it just makes sense. And the feedback has gotten a lot better, and I tell artists to do the same, or create a separate page for that matter. So,
Right, right.
and that definitely helps. Now, as far as music collabs and things of that nature, now I think this was back in 2010. I think
Okay.
you opened up for Frankie Beverly and Maze
Yes.
back then.
Yes.
That was,
Wow.
that was way back. But we're not going to talk about the Beyonce. Uh,
Oh, you saw
maybe.
that too. Yay. We can talk about all of it.
I tell you what, both I love. Both I
Say
love.
it again.
I love both of them.
Okay, okay, good.
The Frank and Beverly and Maze, what that showed is that your music, like you said, there's no time stamp. It's timeless, and for you to open up for a major artist like that is great, and that shows that you're showing work ethic and you're working towards your music, and it shows because here that is 2010, and you're here now, so
Woo.
it's steps to it,
It
and
is steps, and you can't give up. It can seem very discouraging, when people say, well, how long have you been working on this? And I think, you're not going anywhere and this and that. And I'm like, well, first, every year, I give myself a goal.
Mhm.
And every year I look back and I'm saying, I got better at this than before. So, 2020 kind of forced, me at least to get consistent with my social media. Back then, with the Frankie Beverly and Maze, that was the first time I was on a major stage like that. Just to hear all of that power, you got your monitors in front of you, you know, the subs and everything. Like that was the first time, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I can only imagine what it's like to be at a concert." So, heck yeah, I want to do this. And so you just got to keep striving and going to that next phase. The Beyonce one was just me trying to embody and see, like, can I really capture the essence of everything that she is? And will everybody in school believe that? And I think it really did come across. And so now, you know, years later, when people kind of stumble upon it, some people, you know, they can hate and say, oh, it's not as good. And some people are like, well, what's really bad about it? Because she can actually really sing. I read the comments and I was like, yeah. So I just let it float and see where it goes. I think it's really exciting to look back at that.
Hey, you even did the walk in because at first I didn't know what was going on. You were doing the slow walk. I'm like, okay, somebody else is gonna come out, and then like you just went on stage and did your thing. I was like, okay, it was like because there's a few in the audience that were just sitting. They didn't know what was going on.
Right.
I'm like, okay, so you know, I love seeing things like that because, and I always like to go back and see an artist beginning because you see the growth and you see, you know, an artist becoming themselves over, you know, the term, because, you know, back then, you know, the artists, they comply to what the label wants them to be and things of that nature. So it's good to see that, you know, that refresh and you're being yourself, and you can tell it's not, you know, it's not a play, it's not an act, it's you.
Yeah.
It's you. So, and you're consistent with it too. So we definitely appreciate that. I'm sure your fans also appreciate that. But I don't know, we talked about your, you know, the work for it, and then you had to say that you want me tracks. Those were your two previous tracks before this one, and make sure calling me. So we want to make sure that we have the audience hear that, and we're gonna get ready to get into that track, and then we'll come back and chop it up a little bit.
Cool.
If you want to go ahead and introduce your new single, then we'll get that up right on.
Okay. What's up, everybody? Oh my gosh. What's up, everybody? This is Tiffany Jaye, and you are about to listen to my latest single called Calling Me.
You never had my back.
Hey, I tell you what, that is a jam. I love it. I love it. Hey,
I'm glad.
hey, and you tell you love it. You love your music. Hey, if you're not your own music, then it doesn't make sense. You got to be your biggest fan. Is what I always tell artists. You got to be your biggest fan. But that is definitely a hit. I love it. I definitely love that track. Like I said, I'll make sure I place that in rotation on Under the Radar Radio. I'll also put it on rotation on my sets when I do DJ. So definitely can be ones to follow. We're definitely gonna keep up and keep in touch. If you have any questions or anything like that, or you have any new music, I'll make sure to get you my contact information. You can get that on to me, and I can go ahead and help promote that for you too. Um, as far as for your fans, is there anything that you would like to tell your fans?
For the fans, thank you so much for supporting me. This is only the beginning. I'm going to continue until the day that I die. And just know that you are not alone. I am thinking of you when I write. I'm thinking of you when I perform. You're not alone. So that's what I wanted to basically let you guys know.
Okay. So what's
Oh,
next?
wait. What I got to say where I'm at? All that stuff, right? Because you was like, what you want them to know? Okay, wait, real quick. So, of course, if you're new and you're watching the show, this is Tiffany Jaye, right? If you don't know where to find me, put in Tiffany Jaye into your phone, Google, and then everything will pop up. The profiles and the website is TJAYE Taylor. That's Taylor. So you'll find me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff. And I'm very active. So you'll see me post my stories and things like that. So yeah, don't forget Tiffany Jaye, TJAYE Taylor. You'll find me there.
That's what's up. So what's next for Tiffany? What's next for you?
What's next is I'm trying to think of a video treatment for Calling Me. And I do have another song that I want to put out by the end of this year that I did with a good friend rapper of mine. So I'm excited about that. And that also has like the same upbeat kind of like 90s feel, similar to Work For It.
Okay.
And so I just want to figure out what the video treatment is going to be for Calling Me, and if I want to have like a male lead, bad guy kind of thing going on. Yeah. And then we'll see what's up. So that's my next major project, basically.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely excited for the video for Calling Me, because if it's anything like the last two, it's going to have a good vibe and it's going to get people moving. So definitely appreciate you for stopping in with us today. Appreciate it. Again, this is DJ Rome, and this is Tiffany Jaye. And, that's it. Hey, you guys have a good day.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, no problem.